Hello. Welcome to our Wafer Paper Friday. My name is Chef Anna and I teach hobby bakers and cake designers how to create modern wedding cakes using wafer paper. And today I'll show you my favorite way to make wafer paper flowers. So join us live. I am in my studio. Let me make sure that everything is working and set up perfectly. I have a little bit of cough, but welcome. So if you are anything like me and sometimes you wanted to make flowers, but it's like last minute. So today I wanted to show you the last minute way of making wafer paper flowers, and I wanted to keep them edible, like 100% edible. We are not going to use any wires, nothing like this, and this is my go-to method for everything I make, and like flowers I make, especially for kids cakes and for wedding cakes as well. Hello. And the benefit of using this method, because it's cheap, it's very inexpensive to make wafer paper flowers. In that regard, you don't need any special tools. All you need is wafer paper conditioner, or even if you're in a pinch, you can use a little bit of water instead of using wafer paper conditioner, any color you wanted to use, and something to make your centers. So please share this live demonstration to your stories or to your community's memberships, because I wanted to show you the easiest way to make wafer paper flowers and how to make fun. Hello. So if you're joining and watching a replay, welcome. Leave me a comment where you're watching from. If you're here live, let me know where you're joining us from. I live in South Carolina, in Greenville, South Carolina, and it's a little bit cold outside today, but we're still going to have fun because wafer paper is always fun. I have a pair of scissors. I'm always scared to poke my eye with a pair of scissors. And I have a few scraps of wafer paper. So usually for something like this, for flowers like this, I use all my scraps because all I wanted to make is petals in different random shapes and then assemble them together. Hello Vermont, hello New York, hello the Netherlands, London, welcome, Pennsylvania. That is so much fun. Cyprus. I've been to Cyprus, I've been to Vermont and all other places, but Cyprus is, I think that's my favorite thing about going to Cyprus or visiting Cyprus is the food. It's just like the food, I can eat my weight in delicious food. Cambridge, Canada, California, that's so fun. Texas, I hope Texas is a little bit warmer. Northern California, hello. So collect all your scraps of wafer paper. I have just random pieces, and I'll show you how to make edible wafer paper flowers that you can use for wedding cakes, birthday cakes, last minute cakes, because flowers like this, usually when I have my cakes in an oven, I make a bunch of different flowers like that. And I'll show you on my stories after our live demo last time I used this flower. So I have my scraps. Usually I prefer to use at least 3 different layers of wafer paper just to make it faster to cut. And usually what I start is to cut my larger petals, because for larger petals you wanted to use the most amount of wafer paper. And I'm cutting petals, and usually my secret to cut petals when I'm using wafer paper scraps, I'm just rounding my corners. So you can see I take a scrap piece of wafer paper and I'm rounding my corners to make a petal. All my petals usually look different sizes. This is going to be my larger size. Then I'll take a piece of wafer paper, maybe another inch or 2.5 centimeters, cut it again. And then when I look at my scraps of wafer paper, and I wanted to show you the easiest way to save money and save materials. So you can see this corner is the sharpest one. Usually what I do is I hold my petal at my scraps at the sharpest corner, and then I just round everything together like this in a teardrop shape or petal shape like that. This is going to be my medium size. Then again, all my scraps, I have 3 layers, so I cut 3 petals at the same time. I look at my piece of scrap paper, I look for the sharpest corner, I hold my sharpest corner, and then just rounding it and giving this a little bit more like a petal shape. And it doesn't matter much what size I'm going for, but I have two different sizes. Maybe I need another one, maybe a few smaller petals for my smaller flower. So for a smaller flower, I'll take maybe same method, but cut them on a different angle. And most of the time, I don't think I just cut and make my petals. Same for the smallest one. So again, sharpest corner, maybe smaller petal, just to cut this like that. So now I have my petals. I have about 15 different petals, so I can make 2-3 flowers, but I never count. When I'm making flowers like this, I never count my petals. I just reuse my scraps as much as I can, because when you're working with wafer paper and any materials for that matter, not just wafer paper, you still wanted to be mindful about your expenses. And if you wanted to save time, if you wanted to save money, we still need to be practical with all our scraps and reuse them as much as possible. Let me bring my table a little bit higher so you can see me better. So I have my petals here. I have them in different shapes, different sizes. You can see that some of them are little, maybe 2.5 centimeters, 3 centimeters, so about an inch. These are almost 2 inches, 1 3/4. And I'll put them on my table on the side. And again, I just work with my petal without any thoughts in that regard. And I'll bring my wafer paper conditioner. So for my wafer paper conditioner, I use my acetonic, which is, where is it? It is just what? Let me grab mine. So wafer paper conditioner acetonic, you can comment recipe and my little helper will send you a link to make your wafer paper conditioner. But basically I take my wafer paper conditioner, which is a mixture of glycerin and water, and if you are in a pinch or you don't have food grade glycerin, you can use just water and mix it with your gel color. I prefer to use glycerin. I like adding glycerin to my mixture because that's what is going to keep my wafer paper soft and flexible for longer. So that's the reason for using glycerin. And here in my mixture, this is acetonic, I'm going to add a little bit of gel color. You can use airbrush color to color wafer paper. You can use airbrush color. You can use gel color. You can use any colors you wanted to, as long as water-based. So what I mean by water-based, I suggest you not to use any powder colors because powder colors are way harder to dilute in our mixture. I suggest you not to use any chocolate colors, so colors that meant for chocolate, because they are fat-based or they are fat-soluble, to be exact. So anything that's water-based, airbrush color, gel color, what else can it be? Probably that's it. And mix with your wafer paper conditioner. This is my favorite way to color my wafer paper because then I can get a relatively deep color. This is color coral red and it is beautiful color. It is giving like perfect red, pink red, warm color. And mix it in. Water-based, what is the water-based luster dust? If it's meant to be diluted in water and then you do not see any little speckles, then you can use that. If you cannot dilute it completely, that's what I found with luster dust, petal dust, powder colors. They do not dilute in water in my wafer paper conditioner, same way as they mix in with the buttercreams or even your butter. So I prefer to use gel color. My favorite ways to use airbrush color, these are the preferred methods for me to do that. I have a pile of my petals here, and what I'm going to do is start with working petal by petal, usually because I wanted to make these flowers as fast as possible. I'll set my wafer paper conditioner on a side and make sure that my table is dry at the beginning, and so I can see how much moisture I'm applying. And I have a few petal shapers like this on the side. I have another petal shaper like that. It's like a bumpy plastic thing. This is actually a dish drying tray from IKEA. So if you're looking for something to make your petals, to dry your petals, it's beautiful texture and it's relatively dimensional, but it's not two-dimensional as bumpy foam, but you can stack them. So these ones take way less place in your storage compared to something like a bumpy foam. I use all of them. I use different petal shapers, but something like this I always keep on my table because it just doesn't take a lot of space, but allows me to dry my petals. And I will need a pair of scissors. Where my little scissors are here. Just like craft scissors, something very sharp that cut your wafer paper. And I saw a question. I was told that glycerin is not suitable for warm climates or tropical temperature. Can I use vodka with water instead? No, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Let me start painting my petals and I'll talk about that for a little bit longer. But keep in mind, I lived in Florida, and the way I started working with wafer paper is because I lived in Florida and because of the high humidity. So what I'm going to do is to take my petal, place it on my table, and apply wafer paper conditioner on one side. If you want your color to be brighter, you can use more color into your mixture. And I'm going to color my petal on the one side first. Then I'll take a pair of my scissors before doing anything else and cut it a little slit and overlap. So now my petal is not as flat as just flat wafer paper. Then I'll set it aside on my bumpy foam to dry for maybe a few minutes before I'm going to do the next step. So again, on wafer paper there are two different sides, shiny side and bumpy side. For something like this, it depends. Sometimes I use the shiny side, sometimes I use the bumpy side to make a flower. It's just a personal preference. There is no wrong or right way to do that. Right now I'm using shiny side for some reason, but it doesn't matter. In any single thickness wafer paper will work on any side, whatever you prefer to do. This is just the easiest way to make wafer paper flowers for your cakes, and we're going to make them 100% edible. So I'm going to condition my petals, and while I'm working on my petals, I'll tell you a little bit about using glycerin and why I use glycerin. So first of all, I highly recommend you not to use vodka with your wafer paper, because vodka or any alcohol, when you're going to apply that on wafer paper, your wafer paper becomes very brittle and dry the next day. Maybe it's so much easier to work with, and maybe you feel that your wafer paper is pliable and soft, but the next day your wafer paper will be very dry because alcohol will dry out all the starches and your flowers won't stay flexible for a long period of time. If you have any concerns about your wafer paper melting, glycerin actually is going to prevent that, and glycerin is not going to be absorbed by wafer paper at the same speed as just water, or especially alcohol. So you can work with wafer paper for longer if you have glycerin in your conditioner. But glycerin is a humectant, so if you live in the higher climates, temperatures won't affect wafer paper. So wafer paper won't melt, and glycerin won't affect that, whether your wafer paper cold temperatures or low temperatures or high temperatures. The only thing that might affect your wafer paper is the humidity. So glycerin is a humectant, and glycerin will attract all the moisture from the air. So if you live in a high humidity climates, obviously glycerin in your petals will attract moisture from air. And the way to prevent that from happening is to use cornstarch, to use corn flour and apply corn flour on your petals. Then you will get the best of both worlds. So your petals will stay soft and flexible, but your petals won't attract so much moisture from the air and melt. So wafer paper works in high humidity, and if your flowers are dry or been dry for a few days, at least, like if you live in a high humidity, at least for your petals. If they are dry, you can do whatever you want with them, even like place them, take a shower with your wafer paper flowers, and high humidity is not going to affect that. So the main ingredient, if you live in high humidity, is cornstarch that you need to apply on your wafer paper petals to prevent them from melting. And if you find that vodka works for you or any alcohol works for you, feel free to do that. There is no right or wrong way to making wafer paper flowers. My goal is to make them as real as possible and to look them realistic and stay flexible for a long period of time, because when you make wafer paper flowers for wedding cakes, sometimes, most of the time, it takes me more than just 1 day to make flowers. So I wanted to be able to condition my flowers today, my petals today, and assemble my flowers tomorrow, maybe in 3 days or maybe in 5 days, and I still wanted my petals to stay flexible by the time I wanted to assemble my flower. And with alcohol, it's just not possible. You can either use just water, or my favorite way is to use a mixture of water and glycerin, because then you have like the best of both worlds. You still have the flexibility, but it's not going to melt. Glycerin won't melt your wafer paper. So if you're going to apply straight glycerin, you won't be able to do anything with your paper. You still need to have a little bit of moisture, such as water, in your mixture. So now I have all my petals conditioned, and I place them on petal formers like this. And you can see some of them started to curl a little bit because I apply maybe a little bit too much wafer paper conditioner, but I'm not bothered by that, because all I want to do is to shape them and to make them more realistic and different. So I'll start with applying my toothpick. I need a toothpick to shape my petals. So now that I have my petals here, and while they are still drying, or some of them almost dry, if at this moment your wafer paper is very sticky, it's still sticky. You can see mine is not sticky, because even though my humidity is 44%, but it's okay. My wafer paper is drying very fast. So then I'll take a simple toothpick, and doesn't matter, you can choose any petals you like, any size of petals to work with. And I'll take my toothpick and I'll start using my toothpick and placing that on my petal like this, like that. Let me bring you a little bit closer. So like that, and I'll twist that on my wafer paper to create different shapes. You can see that I'm trying to open up my petal in that way. And you need to do that for, or I prefer to do that for all my petals as well, so I can shape them. Some of them will go inwards just to create a different shape. Some of them will go outwards or on an angle, and you can use a toothpick, you can use something like a needle or bamboo skewer, whatever you prefer to do. Some petals will bend or melt a little bit on itself. That's why I like this method for last minute flowers, because sometimes I just don't need to do anything. I just condition my petals, add the color, and place them on a bumpy foam to dry, and that's it. So if you live in a high humidity climate, or if it's raining, make sure to add a touch of cornstarch, apply a layer of cornstarch on your wafer paper. I've been making flowers, so I've been making cakes the whole day, and that's why I have no idea where is my oh, it's on my table. Obviously it's on my table. So cornstarch, when you're applying cornstarch, make sure that you apply very small amount. So I have my brush in black, and then if my petal is melting, like this one is melting a little bit, I will apply a light layer of cornstarch. So then cornstarch will absorb all the extra moisture that is bothering my petal, and I can work with my petals again. But most of them are completely dry already. And when you wanted to shape your petals like this, I prefer to wait just a little bit when they are almost dry. So you saw me cutting all of these petals and shaping them, and now I'm just arranging them, not arranging them, but twisting and giving them some life and moving them in different directions. And again, same as I told you when I cut my petals or I shape my petals, I'm not counting petals at this time. I'm just doing whatever feels right to me. At this moment, usually I might listen to something and just like laugh internally. Usually I listen to different podcasts or something. So when your petals are not completely dry or not, or still a little bit sticky, but you wanted to shape them, just use a touch of cornstarch, because cornstarch is the way to make them beautiful. And for the large petals, I usually prefer to twist them outwards so they look a little bit more open, and usually I do a few twists like this. So these are going to be my largest petals. And for making something like edible flowers last minute, I call this last minute flowers, and especially for kids cakes, because for some reason all the kids cakes I make with wafer paper flowers, the kids are obsessed with eating wafer paper flowers. So I wanted to make sure that I don't use alcohol on kids cakes, even for conditioning wafer paper. I just don't want to put myself into risk of poisoning a child with alcohol. But basically I'm trying to be as mindful as I can about using wafer paper with different materials, like as little color as possible, as little sugar as possible, just for kids cake, or like last minute cakes. So now I have my petals here. I'll bring my wafer paper glue, and wafer paper glue is basically just wafer paper melted in water, and I collect my scraps. You can see most of the time I have my scraps on the table. I have a little jar where I collect my scraps, and once a month, depends on how many scraps I collected, I put them in a food processor, and I just grind my wafer paper, all my wafer paper scraps in this wafer paper flakes or powdery substance, and then I use this to make a wafer paper glue. And basically I just mix a little bit of wafer paper flakes with water, and I put it in the microwave, because I find that microwave is an easier way and a faster way to make wafer paper glue until it becomes like gel-like thick consistency. And for me, I prefer to make wafer paper glue fresh every time I make wafer paper flowers, because I find it doesn't take a long time if you have your wafer paper flakes. It takes 5 seconds. But when you keep your wafer paper glue in the fridge, you can keep it in the fridge for up to about 5 days. The texture is changing, so I find that the fresh one is the best one to work with, especially if you need to make flowers and assemble them on the same day. Then I just put it in my dishwasher and I have clean dishes for the next time. Let me grab a little brush so we can assemble our flowers. And again, these are last minute flowers, so there is no rocket science to that. Usually what I do is I start with 3 smallest petals. Where are our smallest petals? And you can see some of them curl like that, some of them a little bit more flat, and you can do different things with your wafer paper petals. If you don't like the shape, you can use something like usually I use a brush or something to again twist it onto and make it straighter or give it a different shape. And then I'll take my wafer paper glue. Okay, let me fix this. So now I have 3 of my petals. I'll take my wafer paper glue and apply it at the base of each petal first. And I'm applying very small amount of my wafer paper glue just right here where you can see these 2 little things. And I'm going to overlap my petals, all 3 at first, like that. And I'm not trying to do anything specific, I'm just assembling my petals, all 3 together. I'm not worried about the shape, how it looks. This is just our first layer for our petals. And then I'll take maybe 3 more or 4 more, whatever I feel works for me. And then I'll apply a little bit of wafer paper glue at the bottom as well. And usually I just do all these petals all together, and then I'm going to stick my petals on the back side of my first layer. So these are medium-sized petals, and if I'm going to make 4, I'll take 4 like that and pinch everything together. So now I have my flower, all these layers already, and it's 100% edible, and we made it in like 5 minutes. But I'll take more of my larger petals, gonna apply a touch of wafer paper glue at the bottom and stick them in between my first layer and second layer. So like that, you can see that this is my last layer. And usually I do look at my petals and I see where they wanted to go, but I'm still not looking to create a perfect round flower because nothing in nature is perfect. I still wanted to have different dimensions. And I'm pinching this all together. And now my wafer paper flower is ready. So I can either put it on my table to dry for a little bit and play with the rest of my petals. So I have 5 petals left out of everything we've done. So usually my first flower will be either like a signature flower or something. Then what I can do is to take my petals again. Usually I start with 3 small for the center. Oh, not the smallest, but the smallest, because center, I find like 3 petals for the center is the best way to do it. So again, I'll take 3 petals. Doesn't matter, I'm just reusing petals I have. And now I'll look at my flower, even though it doesn't look anything specific. And then I'll take more of my petals and stick them where I feel like it wants to go. Maybe somewhere in between these 2 petals, and maybe somewhere in between these 2 petals. So now I have another flower, and then I have 2 flowers. I made 2 flowers in no time. If you wanted to, and I see all your questions, I'll go back and reply to all your questions, so feel free to post them in the chat. I'm going to stay here and answer all of your questions because we're almost done with our flowers. So these are 100% edible, and you can see we didn't spend much time on making them. If you wanted to add anything for the center, you can either use a little sugar crystals. So I have a few sugar crystals. You can use my favorite Haribo berries. So sometimes I use these red berries to the center for my flowers, because if you're making last minute cakes or you were making cakes for your for kids, something. But today I found this conversational hearts. It's still a week of Valentine's Day, right? So I thought to try and place conversational hearts inside the petals. We can either use pink, we have pink, and we have white. You can use any color. I just find that either pink or white would work fancy for something like this. To apply candy to your wafer paper, if you wanted to place a decor, I recommend you to use piping gel. You can use wafer paper glue, but for something heavy like a candy, I would suggest you to use piping gel and to apply piping gel on the back side of your candy. So just a little bit of piping gel. You can try using glucose syrup, but I find that the piping gel is like the easiest way. And it's piping gel is very inexpensive, so it's not like you're going to invest in something very expensive. And you can buy off Amazon. So I have my conversational heart here, and I'm going to stick it with the piping gel inside my flower. So you can see how beautiful it looks, and it's already stuck. So this flower is complete. It's hard to show you because I'm holding that without wire or anything. And let's do the same for our white conversational hearts inside a smaller flower, like that, with piping gel. Same again. So these are 100% edible. You can place them on a flower. You can, I think I like white more. Let me know in the comments, will you prefer white or pink? I think for weddings, like pink flower with white centers would look amazing. And these are just candy, and you can use any candy you wanted to. Let me know, what do you prefer, pink or white? I think I like white, so maybe I'll make more with a white. But pink also looks nice. Just, I think it depends on the design. But these are flowers that you can make last minute out of wafer paper in no time. Pink is cuter. White. Oh, okay. I think like white for weddings, but pink for girls' cakes, especially for if you're making a cake for a little baby. Maybe pink Okay, so now you know. You can do both. You can do white and pink, and depends on your preferences. I'm more like into wedding cakes, so for me, I think white is way better. And let me go back and answer all of your questions. So feel free to post questions if you have any. And if you're watching the replay, leave me a comment and I'll reply to your comment as when I can. Can you use flower petal veneer to make impressions on wafer paper? Yes, you absolutely can. When you are conditioning your petals before, when we condition our petals and put it on a former to dry, before placing them on the petal former to dry, you can apply a little layer of cornstarch and place them in a veneer. But about veneers, let's have a conversation. There are a lot of different types of petal veneers. I keep them in my little cupboard. So when you wanted to make an impression on wafer paper, make sure that you are using something like a petal veneer that is very pronounced. So you can see this is a large petal by the Sugar Art Studio, and you can see how deep these grooves are. Same for leaves. If you wanted to make an impression on a leaf, make sure that you're using something that is very deep and pronounced. Because if you're going to use something like this, you can see how beautiful and thin these veins are. It's not enough depth to make an impression on wafer paper. So I either use this one, peony, for everything, and I use peony veneers for Icelandic poppies, butterfly ranunculus, roses. It's not like, sorry, my phone just rang. It's not like you're supposed to use your petal veneer for just one thing. You can use it for everything. I don't know what is happening, who is calling me. I'm so sorry. And that's how you need to look for petal veneers. You need to make sure that your petal veneers are very deep. And I'm making kind of like a rose flower. It's something very beautiful. It's more like a garden rose or decorative rose. It doesn't look like an actual rose. Hello from Denmark. Hello, hello. My internet lagged, and what was the first water to roll the petals into shape? Just water mixed with something. You can comment recipe, and it is my wafer paper acetonic, and I will send you the recipe for that. Any questions? What's the best to stick the wafer paper on buttercream cakes? You can stick just wafer paper just like that on your buttercream cakes, and you don't need to do anything specific. You can apply a little bit of piping gel on the back and place them onto your cakes, or you can apply a little bit of buttercream. Wafer paper is not going to be melted by buttercream. It's totally fine. You can place wafer paper on buttercream, no issues at all. How long can wafer paper flowers stay on a cake? Can you attach them one day before? Wafer paper can stay on a cake forever and ever, like as long as you need to. The issue with wafer paper melting, if you wanted to place them on a cake and put them in the fridge, is not with wafer paper. It's with the difference in humidity, so condensation. And it might affect your wafer paper, sugar paste, fondant. Even your buttercream can melt, not melt, but sweat a little bit. So wafer paper is the same. It's very stable. It's just the way we manipulate that before placing in the fridge. If you're going to apply a layer of cornstarch on the petals like we did today, condensation is not going to bother your wafer paper as much, but you still need to know the difference in humidity in your fridge and outside your fridge. So usually I just keep my little checker humidity meter in my fridge. If my humidity is like very high in my fridge, I usually place my cakes in a cardboard box before placing them in the fridge, so then I can navigate that a little bit better. How do I attach to a cake? I like both pink and white centers. To attach them to a cake, I usually use piping gel. So I will place the same piping gel a little bit on the back side and attach them to my cake. It doesn't matter, fondant, buttercream, ganache. My favorite way is to use piping gel. You can also use royal icing, you can use buttercream, you can use ganache, but for me piping gel is the best way because it's not going to melt your wafer paper, but it's sticky enough to attach that to a cake. How far in advance can you put wafer paper flowers and leaves on buttercream cake, and will they stay okay in the refrigerator? I just answered this question. It has nothing to do with wafer paper, but more your fridge and the way the difference in humidity, so the condensation works. So pink look cute for birthday cake and white for wedding. Yes, I agree. So I think like pink for wedding, pink for birthday cakes, especially for little girls, and white for wedding. I think like this white, it grows on me. I still think that white is a little bit cuter, but pink for birthday cakes for sure. But you can use different candies, different sprinkles, anything you wanted to use for something like this. What's the best way to apply flour to the cake? Piping gel? Where did you get the roses veneer from, please? This is a peony veneer from the Sugar Art Studio. You can find them. They are located in Florida. It's a family-owned business, and it is called large peony veneer. If you Google large peony veneer by the Sugar Art Studio, you will find the link for this specific one. I use it for everything. Where did you get the rose veneer, and where do you buy that? The sugar, I buy that from their website. Hello, Amanda. I see you. Any tips for when wafer paper doesn't want to stick to each other? Is the thickness that makes it harder, or piping gel not the best? Wafer paper to wafer paper, we are using wafer paper glue, because wafer paper to wafer paper doesn't want it to stick to anything but itself, and basically we are using wafer paper glue. And you can comment recipe and I will send you my guide for wafer paper conditioner, wafer paper glue recipe, like whatever, everything, like it's free, so I will send you a link to download that immediately if you comment recipe. And wafer paper glue is basically just melted wafer paper, so it helps to melt your wafer paper enough to make it stick to each other. Or if you are in a pinch or you're in a rush, you can use a little bit of water or wafer paper conditioner. But my favorite way to stick wafer paper to wafer paper is wafer paper glue. If you're sticking wafer paper to anything else like fondant, ganache, buttercream, is to use piping gel. I hope I answered your question. My brain is trying to comprehend all of that. Can you please show us how to attach it to a stick or wire, please? Thank you so much. For today, the purpose of today's demonstration is to show you how to make flowers without any wires. This is not the flower you're going to put it on a wire. But if you wanted to make a flower that you wanted to put it on a wire, you need to put your center on a wire and then assemble all your petals. I have 1,000 different videos on how to do that. Today I wanted specifically to show you how to make 100% edible flowers without any sticks or wires. Did you say large? No, it's large peony. Peony is a flower, peony. It's not PME, it's peony. Hi Anna, what was the name of the thin plastic petal form? It looks much better than the formers. This is this one. I think you're talking about this one. This is a drain tray, something where you use this to put your dishes to dry after you wash them. So you take your dishes and like put it upside down to dry after you wash them. And this is from IKEA. So if you wanted to screenshot the item article, this is the one from IKEA, and you can see how textural is that. And I have a few of them, and the beauty of that, they stack like very nicely. So if you need to have a dozen of this in your cupboard, they don't take as much space. It's bumpy foam, and you can wipe them easily. So that's what I use for most of my flowers lately, for the, I don't know, last few years. Yeah, someone's explaining how to use wafer paper. Yeah, that's so neat. So yes, peony. Yes, so it's peony veneer. Yes. How long do wafer paper flowers last? Is there a shelf life expiry date that you can no longer use them? Now you can use wafer paper flowers forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I'll show you. So, do you see the boxes over there? Some of these wafer paper flowers are 5 years old. They live in those boxes. Some of these flowers are at least a few years old. Some of these are fresh, but some of that flowers are a few years old. No, especially if you're making your wafer paper flowers on a wire, so it's going to go on an arrangement, you're not going to consume that. Obviously, if you wanted to eat them and make something like this that's 100% edible, I would suggest you to not to use it past the expiration date of your wafer paper, because wafer paper is edible and there is an expiration date for your wafer paper. But for me, honestly, I use the same thing over and over again, like same wafer paper, even after my wafer paper expired, for something like decorative flowers and not fully edible flowers. So yes, you can make them for long, you can use them for a long period of time, like years in advance, easily. Thank you for all your tips, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, I learned so much with you being innovative. Thank you, thank you. Yes, IKEA tray is my go-to. I have so many cool tools and things. When your book is going to, it's so with the book, my goal is to be done with the first draft by the end of this year. Actually, writing a book is taking forever because it's a lot of things to do. And the goal for my book, I wanted to have 25 different cake designs, and some of these designs will be included in the cake. So I wanted to make 25 different cake designs and show you how to make flowers, to assemble, to arrange them on those designs. So at least by the end of this year, I wanted to design 25 different cakes that will go into my book. Because one of my favorite books is Maggie Austin's book, and the way she explains that how to put the cakes together and her ideas. This is my favorite, like in terms, it's golden, it's that one, is Maggie Austin's book. So that's what I wanted to do, is to design a book and write a book with 25 different cake designs and show you all the wafer paper flowers you need to learn how to make to design those cakes. That's my goal, and I wanted to be done with the first draft by the end of this year, because it's like taking years already. What is the most dramatic and beautiful design to make in 30-45 minutes? If you wanted to make something very fast, something like that, I can make it in 35-40 minutes. And let me grab that. This is my go-to design for everything if I need to design a cake. So these are just wafer paper colored in different colors, and I use the craft punch. So I used 4-petal craft punch to punch these flowers, assemble them together. I have a tutorial on this method somewhere on my YouTube, I believe, but I can design a cake looking like that, like the whole cake I can cover in 30-45 minutes easily. Thank you so much for asking your questions. Thank you for your support. So, Wafer Paper Friday, every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or New York time, I go live and we talk about wafer paper. I always love these refresher videos. Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope you learned something new. And I think next week we'll maybe start on these anemones, because next week my Wafer Paper Academy will be open for enrollment, and Wafer Paper Academy will be open on Tuesday, and I probably will go live more than just on Friday to talk about my Wafer Paper Academy. Those flowers, I like them a lot. So and I'll talk more about that next Tuesday, starting Tuesday, Wafer Paper Academy, and I'll be busy with that. So thank you for your support. When I look for wire, I only find the 26 gauge. It's okay to use too. So 26 gauge wire is perfect for your petals and for your leaves. If you wanted to use 26 gauge wire for your stems, it's a little bit too thin. So you might have to tape together 2 26 gauge wires, so like even 3, to make it thick enough so it's going to withstand the weight of your flour. It's okay to have a 26 gauge wire, it's just not thick enough to withstand the weight of your flour. So for flour, you probably need a little bit heavier than 26, and heavier I mean 20 or 22 or 18, something in that regard. I learned so much in a short space of time. Yeah, that's my goal. I hope you will implement this technique for making edible wafer paper flowers for last minute cakes. I just saw this conversational hearts candy. I'm like, oh, they would be perfect for my cakes. Like, I think like the white one is my favorite one. Oh, I need to stop playing with that. Okay, so it's back in place. You're a great teacher. Thank you so much. I'm in Canada and it's hard to find wafer paper. Do you have any suggestions? Amazon? I buy my wafer paper on Amazon. It doesn't have to be anything specific. I think I've seen images they ship to Canada, and because I saw a few cake artists using Icing Images wafer paper who live in Canada. But I think Amazon, just any single thickness wafer paper, you don't need to do anything specific. I do use 2 different brands. I use Searchina wafer paper and I use Oasis Supply wafer paper. Searchina because they send it to me, so I'm very open. I'm not sponsored by anyone, but Searchina sends me their wafer paper because I talk about them so much, because I love it. I use it all the time. And Oasis Supply, especially 0.22 or 0 grade wafer paper, I buy with my own money on Amazon, and that's it. I buy everything with my own money. I'm not sponsored by anyone because I wanted to be able to openly share everything I know. I like all the brands I use. Thanks a lot. I learned something new and will definitely try this. Yay! Your flowers are breathtaking. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're so sweet today. Every single day. Just today, just like I'm blushing a little bit. I would love to learn how to design the cake with a blush tone flowers textured bottom tier in your cakes. That one, I have a tutorial like how to make that texture. I have a tutorial here on Instagram, so you can find a video how to make the texture, and those are anemone flowers. Can I grab them? These ones are, I mean, I always make way too many all the time. I make way too many flowers that I should. So these are anemone flowers, and we'll start making them next week here on Instagram. I'll show you step by step how to make them. Maybe next Friday we'll stay for a little bit longer and I show you how to make them. But you can see that the basis for the flower is the same. So it's similar methods, it's a little bit different colors, but and a different center. So these are on the wire, stamens and centers, all of that. Maybe we'll do that next Friday, if you want me to do that next Friday. So I'll teach you how to make this. I have quite a few of those wafer paper anemones for your cake designs. This is that cake. Just let me know if you wanted me to teach you how to do that here on Instagram next Friday, because I'm launching my Wafer Paper Academy and I wanted to do something special. I very much wanted to do something special. Thank you so much for everything you're teaching us. Yes, I have bought wafer paper on Amazon. I'm in Canada. Perfect. So wafer paper of Amazon is, yeah. If you're in Canada, try ordering from Flower Confections. Perfect. The other cake, the floral on top. Oh, that one. These are from my Wafer Paper Academy. So if you wanted to join my Wafer Paper Academy, these are the flowers I teach inside the Wafer Paper Academy. It's going to be a little bit hard to explain that on Instagram Live, but those are from the Wafer Paper Academy. Yes, please. What do you teach in the Wafer Paper Academy? So inside the Wafer Paper Academy, we have 10 different modules. And I'm sure, I know I saw Amanda here and a few other members of our Wafer Paper Academy, but it's going to be Classic Rose, Icelandic Poppy, Peony, Ranunculus, Dahlia, Magnolia, what else? Another flower, because it's 7 flowers, 3 different modules for arranging flowers on a cake, how to protect your wires, how to make wildflowers, scabiosa, daisy, and sweet peas, and how to make leaves and branches. So 10 pre-recorded modules. Then we have a lot of different informations, how to use cutting machines with your wafer paper, how to fix your dry wafer paper. But basically most of the time these are 10 modules with flowers, so you can design any cake you wanted to. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I see you all. I'm a Fury Dusty said, I'm a member, you should totally sign up. And Sugar Nursery Cake Shop says, Wafer Paper Academy changed our wedding cake game to luxury. Amazing content. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, it makes me so happy. Thank you. And as you can see by all these videos that are free, you already know that the great teacher she is. It's totally worth it. You're making me blush. I'm so happy. Thank you so much. I do love Wafer Paper, and I love talking about Wafer Paper Academy because that's the way to connect. And everyone who is going to sign up this week, next week, starting Tuesday, we are going to have 6 months of live Q&A sessions. Same, but not the same, because it's going to be on Zoom in a smaller group, and all the members keep an eye on your inbox. There are some updates inside the Wafer Paper Academy. I added a few new modules, and Classic Rose is coming, so keep an eye. And Jan says, take Wafer Paper Academy. Thank you, Anna, for sharing your talent and knowledge with us. Thank you. Yes, you can go on my website, and I'll send you a link how to join. Next week we might start working on our anemones then, because then you will see how easy it is to make beautiful flowers and arrangements for your cakes. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, send me a direct message. I would love to answer only all of your questions, and if not this week, I'll see you next week for another Wafer Paper Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wafer Paper Friday, I'll be here, and we'll start doing something fancy. Let's plan for that. Okay, see you, have a great week, bye.